Welcome to Maximize Your Money, the Aggressive Retirement Savings Playbook. In this video, we will build an action-first strategy to accelerate your path to financial independence. We will start by locking in your employer match, then set your total savings rate, and finally prioritize tax-advantaged accounts like the HSA and Roth IRA before using a high-yield savings account for your emergency fund and short-term goals. Along the way, we will use clear visuals, include helpful quizzes, and end with a practical step-by-step plan. First, we will cover how to capture the full employer match in your 401k. Next, we will set a target savings rate of 15 to 25% of your gross income. Then, we will maximize the HSA if you have a high-deductible health plan, followed by funding a Roth IRA. After that, we will position your high-yield savings account for emergency funds and short-term needs. Finally, we will stack everything into a concrete 7-step plan, check your understanding with short quizzes, and wrap with key takeaways. Now let's begin with the employer match, because it is truly free money. If your employer matches 50%, up to 3.5%, that means for every dollar you contribute, they add 50 cents until your contribution reaches 7% of your pay. Contribute less than 7%, and you are literally leaving compensation on the table. Contribute at least 7%, and you unlock the full available match of 3.5%. This step is non-negotiable because it is immediate, risk-free, and compounds for decades. To underline why the match is non-negotiable, consider a simple example. Assume your employer matches 50% of your contributions, up to 3.5% of your salary. If you contribute 7%, your employer contributes 3.5%. That puts a total of 10.5% of your pay into your account every paycheck. Over a 30-year career, this is a massive compounding advantage. Conversely, if you only contribute, say, 4%, then you would only get a 2% match. You'd be leaving 1.5% in free compensation behind every single paycheck. Therefore, the minimum you should contribute is the amount required to capture the full match. Here's the priority stack. First, capture the 401k employer match because it is free money. Next, if you have a high-deductible health plan, prioritize maxing your HSA due to its triple tax advantage. If you do not have an HSA option, move forward. Then, fund your Roth IRA up to the annual limit for tax-free growth and withdrawals in retirement. After that, build and maintain an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of essential expenses in a high-yield savings account, and use that account for short-term goals. If you still have additional savings capacity, either increase your 401k contributions toward the annual maximum, or invest in a taxable brokerage account for long-term goals. This order maximizes tax benefits while supporting liquidity for emergencies. Next, define your savings rate. Target 15 to 25% of your gross income to aim for financial independence within a roughly 30-year career. If you are below that today, start where you can and automate small increases, for example, by raising your contribution rate 1% every quarter or each time you receive a raise. This approach lets you build to an aggressive savings rate without feeling a large lifestyle shock. The key is consistency across decades. Now let's move to the HSA, which is uniquely powerful because it offers a triple tax advantage. Contributions typically reduce your taxable income, growth is tax-free, and withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are tax-free. If possible, treat the HSA like a stealth retirement account by investing the funds into diversified, low-cost options and letting them compound for decades. You can pay current medical expenses out of pocket, save those receipts, and reimburse yourself later tax-free. However, this strategy requires that you are enrolled in a high-deductible health plan, that you respect annual IRS contribution limits, and that you keep excellent records to substantiate any future reimbursements. Be mindful of investment risk within an HSA, and ensure you maintain sufficient cash for near-term medical needs. Let's compare the HSA and the Roth IRA. The HSA offers a triple tax advantage but requires that you participate in a high-deductible health plan, and you must keep careful records for qualified expenses. It can be invested for the long term and used tax-free for medical costs. The Roth IRA, by contrast, provides tax-free growth and tax-free qualified withdrawals in retirement, and there are no required minimum distributions for the original owner. You may withdraw your Roth contributions at any time without tax or penalty because those contributions were made with after-tax dollars. However, withdrawing earnings typically requires that you are at least age 59 and a half and have satisfied the 5-year rule. Otherwise, taxes and penalties may apply. Additionally, Roth IRAs have income limits, so if your income is too high, consult a tax professional about whether a backdoor Roth strategy is appropriate for your situation. Moving on, the Roth IRA is particularly attractive for diversifying your future tax exposure. It provides tax-free growth and tax-free qualified withdrawals in retirement. Remember, your contributions to a Roth IRA can be withdrawn at any time because they have already been taxed, but the earnings generally require you to be at least age 59 and a half, and to have met the 5-year rule to avoid taxes and penalties. By building Roth assets, you create a tax-free bucket in retirement, which can be valuable if future tax rates rise. If your income exceeds Roth IRA limits, consult a qualified professional about whether a backdoor Roth approach is appropriate and compliant for you. Now let's convert strategy into action. First, set your 401k contribution high enough to capture the entire employer match. Second, define your savings rate target between 15 and 25% of gross income. Third, if you have a high-deductible health plan, max your HSA and invest the balance in appropriate low-cost funds once your provider's cash threshold is met. Fourth, set up automatic transfers to your Roth IRA so contributions happen monthly. Fifth, direct cash to your high-yield savings account until you hold 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. Prioritize this if your emergency fund is not yet established. Sixth, automate future increases and transfers so your savings rate rises over time with little effort. Seventh, review quarterly to adjust contributions, rebalance investments if necessary, and ensure your plan still fits your goals. Next, position your high-yield savings account for stability and near-term needs. Hold 3 to 6 months of essential expenses as an emergency fund. Use this account for short-term goals such as upcoming travel, a vehicle purchase, or a move. Do not treat HYSA as a long-term investment vehicle. After tax-advantaged accounts are maximized and your emergency fund is healthy, funnel additional long-term money into diversified investments rather than accumulating excessive cash. Automate transfers on payday to keep this process consistent and low effort. This timeline illustrates how consistent actions compound over a 30-year career. Early on, you capture the match and establish a baseline savings rate. Soon after, you maximize the HSA and begin funding the Roth IRA. By year 5, your emergency fund is complete, and by years 10 to 15, your savings rate reaches the upper end of the target range while you maintain a disciplined rebalancing schedule. Later, you benefit from tax diversification across pre-tax, Roth, and HSA buckets. As you approach the 30-year mark, debts such as a mortgage may be nearly eliminated, and your portfolio can support financial independence. Quiz time. The question is, what is the optimal order for an aggressive retirement savings strategy described in this video? Option A, HYSA emergency fund, then 401k match, then Roth IRA, then HSA. Option B, 401k match, then HSA if eligible, then Roth IRA, then HYSA for emergencies and short-term needs. Option C, Roth IRA, then HYSA, then 401k match, then HSA. Option D, HSA, then HYSA, then 401k match, then Roth IRA. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. First, you capture the 401k match because it is free money. Next, you prioritize the HSA if you are eligible due to its triple tax advantage. Then, you fund the Roth IRA for tax-free growth and withdrawals in retirement. Finally, you use the high-yield savings account for emergencies and short-term goals. Next quiz. Your employer matches 50% of your contributions, up to 3.5% of pay. If you contribute 5% of your salary, what match do you receive? Option A, 1.75%. Option B, 2.5%. Option C, 3.5%. Option D, 5%. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is 2.5%. A 50% match means the employer contributes half of what you contribute. Half of 5% is 2.5%, which is below the 3.5% maximum match. To capture the full match, you would need to contribute 7%. Let's summarize the essentials. First, always capture the 401k match because it is free money. Second, Target a 15 to 25% savings rate for a 30-year path to financial independence. Third, if eligible, maximize the HSA for its triple tax advantage. Fourth, fund a Roth IRA to build a tax-free bucket in retirement. Fifth, use your high-yield savings account for emergency reserves and short-term goals rather than long-term investing. Finally, automate contributions and review quarterly to ensure your plan remains aligned with your goals. This table distills each account's role. The 401k match is for long-term investing and is powerful because it adds free employer money. The HSA can serve as a stealth retirement account and fund medical expenses, benefiting from a triple tax advantage, but requires eligibility through a high-deductible health plan and adherence to annual limits. The Roth IRA builds a tax-free retirement bucket with tax-free growth and withdrawals, subject to income limits, and the 5-year rule for earnings. The high-yield savings account serves as your liquid safety net for emergencies and short-term goals, where you should target 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. Bringing it all together, first set your 401k contribution to capture the full employer match. Second, build toward a total savings rate of 15 to 25% of gross income. Third, optimize by prioritizing the HSA if eligible and then the Roth IRA. Fourth, protect your plan with 3 to 6 months of essential expenses in a high-yield savings account. Finally, refine your system by automating, rebalancing as needed, and reviewing quarterly. This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial, tax, or legal advice. Your situation is unique. Consult a fiduciary financial advisor or qualified tax professional before implementing any strategies discussed. Account rules, eligibility criteria, and IRS contribution limits change over time, and investment values can fluctuate. Always verify current regulations and consider your risk tolerance, time horizon, and overall financial plan. Before you go, if this playbook helped you, please like the video, share it with someone who wants to build wealth faster, and subscribe for more strategies. In the comments, tell us your target savings rate and which step you will implement this week.